No. Yep. And here we have in lane the Heat 2 already off in the pair. We have Pittsburgh in lane 2, Virginia in lane 3, Cincinnati in lane 4, Washington State in lane 5, and Vermont in lane 6. Um, so that would be 5 crews going across, which we can see right now. And we have Reen and Ahern from Pittsburgh out in front. And then we have McGrade and Reddy Miller from Vermont pushing up into second, but not by much over Smith and Wang from Virginia. Um, so this is still in there, just laying down the early part of their base here. Virginia, nice jumping motion into that stern, into the catch. And they're pushing back up a little bit on Vermont, but then right next to them are Malarchik and Klein from Cincinnati, also right in place. Again, 4 move forward, but you want to, the better you finish here, sort of the better chance you have of a good placement in the semifinals. So I think they'll race pretty hard. You see some steering issues coming up there for McGrade and Reddy Miller from Vermont. They've steered it back out, but does that let somebody else in to the race a little bit more? They again have a nice long stroke. Still up in front right now. It is Green and Ahern from Pittsburgh out in front. And this means that they've learned to row a pair on the Ohio River in the middle of, and uh, that is some interesting water that they have to race on in Pittsburgh or row on in Pittsburgh, but they've managed to learn to row a boat fairly well there. Looks like Virginia now moving up a little bit, rowing very correctly, very directly, very definitely Frank Biller's guys with the blades coming up and the rhythm, the blades coming up together in the rhythm. Um, Again, it just looks like Vermont a little bit larger athletes, maybe Virginia maybe a little bit more lightweightish. Hard to tell completely, but those two having a good race. And Virginia now having moved away from Cincinnati. Cincinnati has open water over Washington State to be right now in fourth, um, but you still have Busick and Sanga from Washington State going pretty hard and trying to get themselves into uh, that AB semifinal. Ryan and Ahern, just again, very nice long. They've clearly lengthened out. Very nice long, efficient stroke through the water at a 33, but it looks like more like it's about a 30, which is good. It means that their higher rating has the rhythm of being able to go lower. So this race between Vermont and Virginia really sort of firming up there. You could see from the side a little bit. Um, and the bowman in the Vermont boat having some problems getting his blade out sometimes. So big, strong guys, but also putting a brake on a lot of those strokes in the starboard side. So trying to figure out why that's happening. You can see he's not quite hanging on the blade quite as well as his pair partner is, or as the two guys are from Virginia. And so that's why you can see the boat keeping getting pulled around to the starboard side because the port man is just a little bit more suspended on there. So they're spending a lot of time on the rudder, and that's allowing Virginia to get in front there as they're coming in. The Vermont crew, I think, is stronger, but just not as efficient with the rowing. Um, and also, perhaps they were on the buoy line, and so the guy was in bow was sort of leaning away a little bit. But you can just see this textbook Frank Biller rowing from his pair here. Just has moved them into second up at 34 and a half, putting a really nice move to try and get into that that space. What coaches like about the small boats is you actually have to row them well. But then here again, you see Vermont, they're strong. They've just come right back through. So they just have to be able to stay long and keep it going straight. And they're probably a faster crew than Virginia. Um, so this is a fascinating little lesson for folks who may haven't seen this in the different ways that you can affect the boat coming down. But right now, McGrade and Reddy Miller from um, Vermont are figuring something out and getting back in play. Virginia has put a big move in, and yet here comes Cincinnati pushing up on them. So we'll see who can handle a little bit of a sprint as we come into the last 500 meters here. That Cincinnati crew rowing pretty nicely. Here we have them from on top. You can see their shoulders are quiet. They're staying in the middle of the boat. They're hanging together and picking it up well. It's very efficient. It would be nice with a little bit more suspension in those arms. I think they do well, but very efficient. And so now they're moving back into Virginia, which is sort of fun. So this is going to be a little bit of interesting to see who handles that that last little bit of rowing with Vermont continuing to have a love affair with the buoy lane off of their starboard side. Then lane 2, that's Reen and Ahern from Pittsburgh out in front. Again, just you can see they're applying their power right together. Their legs go down together, they're hanging the arms together, and that's why they're out in front. Just very efficient rowing. Doesn't necessarily look like they're the biggest guys in the race, but they're just applying very nice power on the water. So Virginia again has moved up um, on Cincinnati. This is why these pair races are fun, because these changes can happen and they're moving back up into Vermont. Vermont sort of looking over and hugging that buoy again, buoy line again, and we'll see how that has an effect. In the end, they're all going to go into the AB semifinal. But this gives them some things, some ideas to work on before they come back out for that semifinal tomorrow. These three boats, we're going to see how hard they race. Virginia having stuck themselves back out in front again. Cincinnati moving up on Vermont. Really going to be interesting to see who comes across the line second, third, and fourth. First, for sure, will be Reen and Ahern. And in fact, here they come very nicely rowed to win that heat. And it is Vermont getting across, and then Cincinnati, and then Virginia. So we couldn't quite see their sprints, but clearly that all sort of worked out. So different tactics, different strengths, allowing different crews to sort of move through even that race in different ways. And we'll go back up to the start for heat 3 of the men's pair.